Georgia, dominant, finally, against Kentucky. Michigan, dominant against Minnesota. Yes, Minnesota's not a good football team. We understand this. But, Vinny, I asked you this before the show, and I just want to, in the recap of the day for yesterday, we talked about yesterday how the gap has shrunk with Georgia and everyone else. Kind of feels like yesterday that Georgia and Michigan could have taken the opportunity to really pushed it out a little bit.
Well, yes, and by the way, congratulations to both you and Alex. A good day for both of you yesterday. Well done. It was a good day overall. Good business. We had a lot of action. Again, an increase over last year. So handle continues to grow. As far as that goes, Jeff, look, yes, we finally saw the Georgia that everybody had expected, right? And remember that going into the season, they were, considerable favorites over everybody else. But in the first month of the season, they came back to the pack, but the pack also came up to them. I mean, talk about Pac-12, Oregon, Washington, Oklahoma yesterday took a big step in their victory. But so it's not like by virtue of their dominance in the Kentucky game yesterday, did Georgia go back to where they were preseason? Again, Michigan, we talk about both of those teams. You got to give Oklahoma good marks. I mean, Ohio State came back again in the second half, right? And Alabama, nobody's talking about them right now, right?
Yeah, they got it done,
right? So
you were on that side.
I was. I don't know if I deserve to get there or not, and quite frankly, I shouldn't have got there on a bad number because.
Did you watch the last minute?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the fact that Jimbo took the timeout, kicked the field goal instead of, if you're going to take the timeout, first off, you shouldn't take the timeout. You should know what you're doing going into that circumstance, so you have all those timeouts for defense, regardless if you kick, which was the wrong decision to me, or you go for it and you miss. You at least get the ball back after you go force a 3-and-out with all your timeouts. Well, it was terribly done all the way around.
Well, put that aside for a second. What was Alabama doing with?
Milroe
just the game's over.
Milroe just lost his mind for a second there, but they at least
so did the coaches. Yeah. Call timeout and say, "What are you doing?"
Very strange all the way around.
Anyway, but to answer your question, Georgia asserted themselves, but it's not like the gap went back to where it was going into the season.
Let's go to this NFL game going right now. This game's been stuck on 11-7 for a while now. Been stuck there since the end of the second quarter. Jacksonville leads. They get a first quarter. All 11 points for Jacksonville come in the first quarter. They haven't scored since. They've been deep in Buffalo territory twice. 2 Trevor Lawrence fumbles have kept them off the board.
Yeah.
But so far, Buffalo's only had one drive, the one at the end of the first half, and that's been it. And on top of it, injuries galore in this game for the Bills, including Matt Milano, their best, to me, maybe not their best defensive player, but their most important one, leaving the game carted off with a knee injury. Collateral damage from this one could be bad for Buffalo, even if they come back and win the game, Vinny.
Yeah, and, if the game did touch 6 before we got some buyback on the Jags. So, again, close 5.5, 48.5. Total pretty much. There wasn't a whole lot of movement on the total. Obviously, the under looks very strong right now. But Alex, I know you had an interest you've got a rooting interest in this game.
I've got the Jaguars on one of my contests, so I am rooting for them. I got them at 5.5. But yeah, I hate to see it. Hate those injuries.
Yeah.
Especially, this Bills team is rated very high, 1 or 2 in most people's ratings. So. You don't want to see them lose a big defensive player like that.
Allen was just intercepted on 3rd and 15, basically working as an arm punt, took a deep shot to Diggs. Darius Williams, who we saw last week with the pick 6 against Desmond Ridder in Atlanta, with the interception. So Jacksonville will be starting deep in their own territory, but another stop for this Jacksonville defense. Again, Buffalo, if you take out that one drive, the 86-yard touchdown drive, this drive chart is ugly for Buffalo today. 3 for 8, 3 for 9, 6 for 18, 4 for 19. That 11-play, 86-yard touchdown drive, very good, obviously. A knee at the end of the half, okay, doesn't matter. 4 and out in the first drive of the second half, first down on the first play, and then 3 and out after that. 4 plays, 48 yards and a punt. And then an interception from Allen, taking a shot on 3rd and 15. So an opportunity here again for Jacksonville, who has been the right side all day. 5-point closing underdogs, 5.5 at some shops, I should say, and 5.5 in all the contests. Right now, it's been the right side the whole day. Just a matter of holding on and getting there. If you have Jacksonville spread and money line bets, because you've been ahead the whole game.
Bills maybe showing the difference in travel, right?
I would say so.
A couple of 48 hours ago, and of course the Jags, we know, been there for a couple of weeks.
I would say so. That will be a discussion point if Buffalo loses this game. Now I don't know. Maybe it plays a role, but again, we're talking about professionals here, and Jacksonville has given Buffalo all opportunities to take this game, and Buffalo has not so far. Again, this is the one thing that drives me crazy with Buffalo, Vinny, where you can have for 3 weeks, the Bills look like the best offense in the world. And then on the bookends of it, 4 interception game against New York for Allen. And then today, 7 points against a defense that you don't look at as an elite defense in Jacksonville.
Who are they, right?
It's inconsistent. That's all it is.
That's it.
That's why, again, like Allen 2 years ago in the playoffs, it was, okay, you got Superman Josh Allen. And if Buffalo won that coin toss against Kansas City, that may be a totally different course of NFL history we had there. Instead, we all know what happens. And also, again, you have 13 seconds. Don't give up a field goal when you have 13 seconds to go with that defense. All right, let's get into these games that are going a little bit later. We'll keep you updated. Oh, by the way, Vinny, you have a live line right now since we're in a commercial for this game?
Yeah, there is a live line here. We're going into commercial, and Jags 3.5.
There we go. Jacksonville 3.5 right now, up by 4 with 13:06 to go over there. That's at Tottenham Stadium today in London, across town from Wembley, where they were a week ago. All right, let's go to the game starting at 10 a.m. Pacific. Why you're all here, more likely than not, the Atlanta Falcons and the Houston Texans. Vinny, we talked about this one. They have taken you up and down the ladder here with this game. And we're right back to where you started now with Atlanta 2.5. It's like nothing happened, Vinny.
Went down to pick midweek. It was all Texans early, and now in the last couple of days, it's all about the Falcons. And they're a different team at home, right? Well, I should say Ritter is a different quarterback at home than he is on the road. So a little bit of movement on the over to 42, but not much. But, again, from 2.5 down to pick. And now back up to 2.5, Alex, on the Falcons.
I am on the Falcons +1. I am going with the better defense here. Rookie quarterback going up against a really good pass defense. Atlanta's defense is 5th best in the NFL in yards per play allowed and 7th best against the pass. As you mentioned, small sample size, but the Falcons are 2-0 at home. And I've been pretty high on the Falcons all year long.
Atlanta is the most talented team in the NFC South. They also have arguably the worst quarterback in the NFC South. Him and Bryce Young are very close right now for that bottom spot. And that's not even – and again, that's in a division where their Carr has not looked good. And Baker has clearly been the best quarterback through the first month of the division.
Battling Baker.
Yeah, I know. It's not been close at the quarterback position. That's why Tampa's sitting at their bye week in 3-1 when they were one of the lowest power-rated teams in the NFL coming into the year. You and I agree here. I'm on Atlanta. I laid one earlier in the week. Didn't get the best of it, but still got better than what it is right now. This is, I think, we're overreacting a little too much to what Houston has done the last 2 weeks.
I agree.
Now, the Texans have looked really good the last 2 weeks. They obviously went to Jacksonville, smashed the Jaguars, and the rivalry that's been one-sided for whatever reason over the last 5+ years. And last week they were dominant against the Steelers. There's no arguing that. They were dominant, right side all the way. But Vinny brought it up. You brought it up as well, Alex. There's not a lot of home road split anymore in the NFL. But Desmond Ridder, I think, has a home road split. We saw how bad he looked the last 2 weeks. Awful in London a week ago. Even worse in Detroit the week before that. And he's been passable at home. He's been playable. He's been a reasonable NFL quarterback in the 2 home games. If they get that today, Atlanta wins this game, and I think they win it comfortably. So you and I agree on the Falcons here today.
And they do have their 2 running backs, and that is what we really need out of Ridder. Hand it off to Bijan Robinson or Tyler Algier. So
right now. Again, 2.5 on Atlanta. 42 total is really not moved at all,
No,
Vinny. A little movement
maybe a
yesterday,
half
but
point,
that's at half point. 41 and a
not
half
big mover.
to 42.
Mhm.
All right, let's go to let's keep it in the NFC South road team today. The only winless team on the board still, the Carolina Panthers, are 9.5-point underdogs at Detroit here, Vinny. 43.5. When was the last time Detroit was this big of a favorite? It's been a while for the Lions. The only time they've been close to double digits was against a winless Cleveland team a few years back.
Yeah, it's been
a
while.
been a minute, but
They got up to 10 at one point too.
was it
Remember
10?
That,
Was
yeah.
it 10 twice this week, including yesterday for a few minutes before it dipped back to 9.5? But there are injury concerns on the Detroit side today with Amon-Ra St. Brown not playing today, Vinny.
And pay attention to the actives and inactives that are starting to come in. Definitely. Now they do get Jameson Williams back from suspension, right? His suspension was reduced from 6 games to 4 games. It's only gonna help them. But 9 on the opener, all the way up to 10. Then toggle back and forth a little bit. So we know what the threshold is for buyback on Carolina. But the right now sitting at 9.5, and the total's not moved that much either, Alex. 44, 43.
No interest for me in the side. I do lean to the over here. I think if we were going to see the Lions get complacent, it would be here, and that is their 10-point favorite coming off a big win in Lambeau. Their next 2 games at Tampa and then at Baltimore. And I think their defense isn't as good as their numbers say. So maybe we'll see Bryce Young get some things going, but I do trust the Lions offense, and I know that they will put some points on the board. Leaning to the over in this one.
Good.
Right now, total for Detroit and Carolina is 43.5.
Mm-hmm.
Right now on that one. Again, the Lions 9.5-point favorites. Carolina contest makes sense. It's hard to find 5 games. Understand that. Understand why Detroit's one of the most popular Survivor selections this week. Then Miami, and already a loser this week with Washington on Thursday night against the Bears, the 3 most popular ones in most Survivor pools this week. It's a weird thing to see Detroit with that type of number next to them. You're just not used to it. But this Lion team is worthy of being that big of a favorite against this Carolina team. But you do bring up a good point, Alex. And even though I believe in look-ahead spots a lot more in college than the pros,
Definitely.
even though this is a home game, you have 2 road games the next 2 weeks against Tampa, who's currently in playoff position, and Baltimore, who has a chance to take a stranglehold on the AFC North today with a game in Pittsburgh. So 2 really good big-time games coming up for Detroit after this one, Vinny.
Yeah, and I think, again, look-ahead's more so. We've talked about it in college, but certainly there could be letdown spots, right?
Sure.
But I don't. I think Detroit also learns something from that overtime loss to Seattle and give full marks to Seattle in that game. So, look, they're double digits for several reasons, and one of the biggest reasons is going up against the rookie quarterback of the 3 that's probably struggled more than
Agreed.
the other 2.
He's the one that's the least along at this point.
Least comfortable for sure.
C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson. It was
Indy.
It was a slow start for Stroud, but he's really picked it up after that Week 1 performance in Baltimore. He's been great the last 2 weeks. He still hasn't thrown an interception 4 weeks in, which is kind of miraculous in all honesty. And then Richardson, he's got a lot to work on, but he looks like he belongs in this league with his skill set. We'll get to Indianapolis right now, actually. Let's go there to Indy, Colts, and Titans. All right, Vinny, I want to ask you this, because there are offensive line issues for the Colts yet again, and we see that in the line. Indy opened a favorite. They're now a 2.5-point dog in this one against Tennessee. Titans, home road splits have been ugly for the Titans so far. They've looked very good in the 2 home games, overtime win over the Chargers, blowout win over Cincinnati last week. They did cover against New Orleans. Vrabel forgot how math worked for a little bit to get that cover against New Orleans week 1, and they were annihilated in Cleveland in week 3. So I'm a little surprised, even with the offensive line issues for Indy, a little surprised that this line has moved the way it has.
Well, and I think, Jonathan Taylor's active for this game, right? So nice. His first action of the season, figures to play some. Nice new contract for him. But yeah, I mean, open with the Colts as 1-point favorites because really, what do you get with Tennessee, right? I mean, it's not that they've got this terrific offense. I think teams have keyed and solved Derrick Henry to right so far, and so here you've got now, but the Titans are all the way up to 2.5, so a favorite there, and I think that's got the O-line issues, and we've had to learn a lot about the O-line in recent years, Alex. It's become extremely important. Your side of the counter has had a much better read over the years with dealing with offensive line injuries. But we've not seen 3 yet. If it does go to 3, again, don't blink.
One of my favorite unders of the day. I'm on under 43. We know Tennessee loves to run the ball. They slow it down, 32 seconds per play. So they will control the clock here. And then, as mentioned with the O-line injuries, we saw last week with the Colts. I mean, the Rams held them to 2 scoreless quarters. So not expecting too many points in this one.
And you're going to go under the better number because it opened 42. So well done.
Vinny, I want to bring up team totals real quick because, of course, you're booking them every single game.
Every game
in the
every
National Football
individual
League.
team. Yeah.
This is one of those again where you have a tight line, you have a total that's pretty normal at this point in the NFL at 43.5. What type of games are you usually seeing more action on the total or team totals, or is it just basically across the board? People like betting these things.
It's pretty much across the board. It's not just a particular team or matchup. Folks study the matchups. They look at and then you project. Look, you're going to handicap them the same way that we post them, right? Or we formulate them, and that is you look at the line and you look at the total, and you calculate you project a score, and then you evaluate whether or not you think either or both teams are if you so choose, are going to go over either one. So it's not one particular or several teams, Jeff, nor is it one particular total number that we see that with.
Quick update before we move on here. Jacksonville into the end zone. Travis Etienne, a 6-yard run. So the Jags have extended to 18-7 with 7:44 to go. And Jacksonville has been moving the ball all day, Vinny, and they finally cash in. They take advantage of the arm punt from Allen. They go 90-plus yards for a touchdown drive.
Eat some clock.
And Buffalo has their work cut out for them. They're going to come back in this game down 11 with under 8 to go.
I think these defensive injuries are starting to show and wear down the Bills right here.
Absolutely. Von Miller looking like he's not going to return today. Has the hat on in the sideline. Probably more of a pitch count situation more so than anything with Miller.
30 or 40 snaps, right?
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, team total is going to be high on the Miami Dolphins today, along with that spread, which we've hit a number that we thought we would hit, but it's a big one on the Dolphins hosting the G-Men down in South Florida today. That and more when we get back. Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. There's the Sports Book getting jammed here at the South Point.
Man.
South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. I'm Jeff Parles, Vinny Magliulo, Alex White alongside. We're happy to be with you as always, previewing for Week 5. Week 5 in the National Football League.
Yes.
Pretty crazy. We've made it this far already. All right, quick update. Jacksonville did score before we went to break. Travis Etienne, 6-yard touchdown run, 18-7. Jags up with a little more than half of the fourth quarter to go. Penalty on Buffalo's, a hold on Buffalo's first play, so they're moving backwards on this drive. Again, this has been this is part of the reason that I don't fully trust Buffalo, the inconsistent nature of this offense. And as great as Josh Allen has looked the last 3 weeks, and he has been the best player in the NFL the last 3 weeks, not even a doubt, you can get something like this. And I know there's travel involved. I know Jacksonville was there for a week. This is not an elite Jacksonville defense. And Buffalo's had one drive all day, Vinny.
He looks very uncomfortable back there.
That was a good throw, though.
Yeah. Well, again, with a little over 7 minutes, your in game is probably anywhere from 7.5 with juice to 8.5. So maybe 7.5 over to 8.5 under. Shop it, and the total right around 32, 33. Right. And again, Alex, as we know about the in game, it's the result. You're betting from that point on and what the result is. So it's a lot of folks get a little confused with that.
Right.
Let's go to Miami next. Another Floridian team here. The Dolphins against the Giants. Well, Vinny, we talked about this on Friday when Chris Andrews was in with us, that this would touch 13. We're there.
Oh, it's more than touched.
We're there. It hasn't moved.
It's grabbed.
Off the 13.
Grabbed 13.
And that was last night. You moved to 13. You're still there on Miami, up from 9.5 when you opened sight unseen on the New York Giants on Monday. Reopened it after that disaster at 11.
Yeah, I had to make an adjustment.
And right now, Miami 13, but the total's only gone down. So you have the big favorite going to a bigger number and the total going down.
That's a reflection also of the Giants and their offensive inabilities, right? Now, I think we hear in the next 30 minutes, 35 minutes, I think there'll be some the public will get involved with this total going over. I think you could see where people are going to look at the Dolphins offense coming back to life after the game last week in Buffalo. But I could see this total coming back up, Alex.
Absolutely. I am on the over, actually, over 47.5. Because of that reason, I'm excited to see what they do and how they respond to that 48-20 loss to the Bills. I mean, they're trying to show everyone that they are the best team and have the best offense. I mean, watching that game against the Broncos, that offense is insane. So I think they put up a lot of points here against the Giants. And, they also aren't afraid to give up some points. They've allowed 28 on average to their opponents.
Good. And Barkley, check. I mean, again, with the actives and inactives, I think he's still a game time decision.
Correct.
Saquon Barkley.
Right now, just double checking this, so I have this right in front of me. Giants inactives today include Saquon Barkley and Andrew Thomas.
There you go.
So that knocks out Barkley again. No reason. Look, I'm a little flabbergasted at how bad the Giants have looked. Now, we all expected regression. It makes
Right.
sense. Won a lot of close games. Same sort of deal as Minnesota as we talked about going into the year. Both of those teams have regressed. But Minnesota's just regressed to the mean where they're losing close games. They look like all right, you get a break here, get a break there. Minnesota could be 3-1 right now, very easily. The Giants, they're lucky to be 1-3. They should be 0-4 because that Arizona game was just totally absurd that they were able to come back and win that game.
And I think the biggest difference is the performance of Jones, right? I mean,
He looks awful.
I mean,
looks like he did
looked
3 years ago.
Great last year, and he looks uncomfortable, out of sync. I mean, all of the above. So that's the biggest difference. You can say, you can say what you want about and how Saquon Barkley means so much to them, and it means he impacts their number. But Daniel Jones not having any success.
No, but we know he can do it, right? We did see it last year. So eventually he has to get back to some sort of form that he had. And I'd love to see them get Darren Waller involved more in this offense and utilize him.
Yeah.
It hasn't been used.
No.
It's barely been used this year. I think it does go back, though, to the Jones more than anything. It's just that the regression back to what he was pre-Brian Daboll has been so staggering and so quick that, look, I don't know how you recover from that when you're paying a dude that much money. And again, Giants will be able to get out of it. But regardless, it's been ugly so far this year for D. Jones. All right, I want to go to this game because I'm a little perplexed. I've been perplexed all week on this one. New England and New Orleans. Patriots right now, Vinny, you have them at 1.5-point favorites.
Right.
This was taken down the ladder and now bet back up again.
Mm-hmm.
There's some 2.5s in the market now on New England.
Mm-hmm.
New England is without Matthew Judon, their best defensive player. They're without Christian Gonzalez. I know he's only played 4 NFL games. He's their second best defensive player so far this year. I understand Derek Carr is not 100% healthy. I understand that. But I know it's a team doesn't, as Chris has said in the past, the team never as good as they look the week before, team never as bad as they looked the previous week. But I'm a little surprised New England has taken the action here because both of these teams really looked dreadful last week.
Well, it depends. I mean, we did open it 2, and it got as low as 1. So an initial response was
New Orleans, but it's getting
New Orleans,
back
and
up.
now it's getting back up. And I just think it's a matter of not a lot of faith in the Saints here. So, in fact, there's not a lot of faith in either of these teams when you look at the total, which continues to come down. Now we just went to 38.5 here at South Point. So, look. There's something for everybody, and maybe it's an in-game opportunity, Alex. I don't know. Maybe again, you don't have to play every game. We're going to book every game, but maybe it's you take a look and see how the game is unfolding.
Well, you nailed it right there. I mean, I don't have trust in Derek Carr even when he is fully healthy, and now we still don't know. He shouldn't have played in that game against the Bucs last week. That was a tough loss. Even in their 2 wins, though, I mean, they beat the Titans by 1, beat the Panthers by 3, and they are the worst red zone offense in the league. They score 33% of the time when they get down to the red zone. So I am on the under. I'm got under 40 early in the week, and I have a contest play with the Patriots because of that reason and the question marks with Derek Carr.
There you go. Buffalo
into the end zone after a very questionable roughing the passer call, to put it politely, on Jacksonville. We can leave the refs in London, the ones who've done this game. We've seen too much of Sean Smith so far today. So Buffalo going for 2 after the touchdown to Gabe Davis. It's 18-13. There's also, of course, another flag because, of course, there is. But we'll keep you updated here. But Buffalo at least getting this to a 1-possession game again.
You may want a boatload of officials, though.
I would have no problem with leaving half of the refs in London at this point, Vinny. I would have no problem. Wait. Okay, well, they took the touchdown off the board. There you go. The penalty on Buffalo to take the touchdown off the board. So we'll do it again, and that's going to be a touchdown anyway, isn't it? Caught that?
I don't know. There's some more laundry on the field.
All right, regardless, I think Gabe
that.
Davis got his touchdown anyway. If it wasn't, it would be PI on Jacksonville. So I think it's about to be 18-13 yet again, but we'll keep you updated as that one goes, and we'll get an in-game number when we get it when this game goes to commercial with 4 and change to go. All right, Pittsburgh and Baltimore up here next. Oh, by the way, actually, Vinny, real quick on this New England-New Orleans game. Team totals for this game. Where are we sitting on these?
Where are we sitting on
these?
You saw the total at 38.5, and so 19.5 for the Saints. A little shade to the over, and 20.5 for the Patriots. The under favored.
Okay. Again, that's just it's. Neither of these teams are any good. I know New Orleans still has a legitimate shot in the NFC South just because of the weakness of that division, but these are not good football teams at the moment. By the way, the Buffalo touchdown did stand. Gabe Davis did get his touchdown after the first one was called back. 2-point conversion, no good, though. Failed. So it's going to be hard to get this game to overtime when it's sitting at 18-13 right now with Jacksonville in front with 4:03 to go. So Jags will get it back. Buffalo with 2 timeouts remaining with 4:03 left. All right, we go to the AFC North now. The black and blue rivalry, always. Pittsburgh and Baltimore here in Pittsburgh today. Kenny Pickett, gonna go with that knee here today. And Vinny, the bettors didn't even react to that news with the expectation that he is going to play. Sitting at 4.5, Baltimore laying it in this one. And Baltimore actually took some money yesterday because they got good injury news finally for the Ravens.
Yeah, offensive line as well as some defensive players coming back for the Ravens. So, definitely trending the right way health-wise. 3.5 on the opener, Ravens favored, and now and they bet it all the way up. So it's kind of toggled back and forth, Jeff. It got as high as 4.5, so taking 4.5 with the Steelers and laying the 4 with the Ravens right now here at South Point, sitting at 4.5. Alex, you have a play in this game?
Another rivalry where one team has dominated as of late, and that is the Steelers. They've won 5 of the last 6. I don't have a play. I didn't bet this, but I do have the Steelers in a contest at plus 4.5. It's wild that the Ravens, if they win this game, they will have a road sweep against all their division opponents.
Strong.
Yes.
Very.
That's, you talk about tiebreakers, and I mean it's an extra win in the or an extra game in the standings and in the win and loss column. By the way, this total, another low total here, but this is predicated on the Steelers' offensive woes. 38. It did go up to 38.5 just now. So we opened at 39 and it went down to 38, and now back up to 38.5.
Looks like the Steelers is your lowest
team total. Yeah, you like it? What do you think?
Stay away. I'm gonna
stay away. Steelers at 16.5. You want the over, Jeffrey?
I don't want anything on that, but that's when you're given a team total pre-flop that's sub 17, that does
tempting, isn't it?
Is tempting, but no, thank you for that one.
Take your time. You got a few minutes.
I got 26.5 minutes right now, Vinny. I'll say this with Baltimore, and Alex brought up a really good point there. If Baltimore does win this game, forget the 3-0 division record. Mm-hmm. It's 3-0 with all the games away from Baltimore. You have a real shot at running the table in the division. That's how you win a division. That's how you get a home playoff game. That's how, in a year where everyone was talking about Cincinnati before the year, and even Cleveland was talked about as much or more than Baltimore at times this offseason. That's how you win divisions. And the Ravens, who are an overtime loss away from being 4-0 right now, kind of quietly sliding under the radar right now, is a legitimate threat to come out of the AFC.
I'll give you an in-game on this. About 450.
What, on
Jacksonville?
On Jacksonville? Yeah, I wouldn't lay that.
Cheap. There's 5s out there.
Yeah, wouldn't lay that right now because they have 3rd and 4 coming up. 3:15 to go. Who just got hurt? Did ETN just get hurt? Or did one of the big linemen just get hurt? Well, we'll get that in a second. But regardless, Jacksonville trying to hold on. They'll have a big 3rd down coming up against Buffalo across the pond in London. Again, that's good old 6:30 Pacific kick. Were you up in time this morning, Vinny?
Of course. Wait, bookies don't sleep. They're like sharks. Some people call it. Some people call us a lot of things, and that's one of the nicer things.
I was going to say that was actually a pretty nice thing you just said about yourself there, Vinny. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back,
Okay.
We're going to go to the afternoon games. Remember, 2 less games this week, 4 teams on bye. So only 14 games this week, and of course the Thursday game already completed, and this Buffalo-Jacksonville game. Jacksonville trying to hold on. Buffalo just took their second time out with 3:15 to go in the fourth quarter, trailing by 5. We look at Arizona and Cincinnati and more when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
The bright lights, the glitz, the glamour. It all means nothing without a shot. A chance to turn dreams into reality. To change your destiny. To make history. Nothing is given. Everything earned. It's more than a race. It's a shot at a championship.
Let's go get a championship, baby!
The NASCAR playoffs return to Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the South Point 400, October 13th through 15th.
At South Point, we want you to have fun, but we also care about your well-being. Guests have access to our private, state-of-the-art fitness center. No need to miss your workout when we have everything you need, even fitness classes. Be well and be strong. And after your workout, you can look your best and feel even better with a visit to the Costa del Sur Salon. Revitalizing manicures, pedicures, haircuts, and colors for both women and men, because you deserve to look your best. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. I'm Jeff Parles, Vinny Magliulo. Alex Light alongside, happy to be with you while we were gone. A big third down conversion for Jacksonville, a big-time throw by Trevor Lawrence down the right sideline to Calvin Ridley. Jacksonville is on the border of field goal range right now. Actually, they are in field goal range. And Buffalo is out of timeouts with 3 minutes to go. And you know what? Forget field goal range. ETN is gone.
And
Touchdown Jacksonville with 2:56 to go. And the Jags are going to go back up by 2 scores after that long run by Travis Etienne, Vinny.
Yeah. No, listen. Just wore this team down. Remember, we talked about the Bills' defense all season long too, and they just couldn't. They just got worn down, and the injuries didn't help either, particularly with Matt Milano going out in the first half. So, hey, credit to Jags here. Big advantage. This is something that bears watching. A team that's been over there for 2 weeks now.
This is the Jacksonville team I anticipated seeing going into the year that we didn't see the first 3 weeks. We were fortunate to win in Indianapolis. They scored 9 points against Kansas City. They were blasted at home by Houston. And in the last 2 weeks, almost going across the pond, got things right for this Jacksonville team. Nice win last week against Atlanta. Yes, they took full advantage of Desmond Ridder playing terribly. And out today, again, you mentioned it, first team ever to play back-to-back weeks in Europe and taking full advantage of it. And it looks like they're going to get a very nice win against the Buffalo Bills here today with a little under 3 to go, up by 12. And you know what, Vinny, on cue here, our guy Jimmy Vaccaro just walked into the studio.
Something tells me Jimmy has tickets.
He has at least a ticket right now that he gave over to Ann. So we'll get that ticket in a few moments from now. All right, to the late games. Cincinnati Vinny, if I told you before the season that the Bengals would only be 3-point favorites in week 5 in Arizona, be like, is Joe Burrow not playing? Well, he is, but he's been royally ineffective because of the calf injury so far this year.
Well, and it's not going to help. No T. Higgins today for sure.
Yes,
right?
he's out as well.
Some other injuries that are coming in. If the Bengals were the Bengals, if Burrow was right, this game is 6 or 7, right?
I would say at least 7, right?
And again, the Cardinals, we talk about them. This is a team that competes. They took the 4, they took the 3.5, Alex, and we're down to 3 on this one. And they're betting it over, 42 up to 44.5.
This is a complete stay away for me. I mean, until we know the health of Joe Burrow, I don't feel confident making any bets for them or against them.
Well, good call.
Look who's here.
That's right, Mr. Vaccaro. What do you say, Jimmy?
You know what?
Tell me.
Vince would understand this young lady. You got no chance of knowing what I'm talking about here. Someone bet $20,000 on the Giants plus the 13. Now, are you taking life in your own hands when you're betting on the Giants, no matter how many points you're getting? And to cover that up, Bert Bell said, on any given Sunday, Vincenzo. Now, tell them what that means.
Bert Bell. Jimmy, you know the references when he says those things. These are just old school. Your dad is laughing right now. I know, and your grandpa's laughing right now at the Bert Bell reference. You know, Jimmy. Hey, look.
On any given Sunday, somebody can beat
anybody.
100%.
Right?
That's what it's all about.
Bert Bell, otherwise known as Murphy's Law, the original Murphy's Law.
Do you need nerve betting the Giants also for a lot of money? Was it just, if that's the right number, I'm taking it?
I mean, look, it would be the right number at the full 13. But, there are better ways to spend your Sunday afternoon than sweating out a bet like that on the Giants.
And one more before I leave, hopefully trying to educate our valued customers who obviously watch this show. A guy bet the $20,000 on the Cowboys plus the 3.5.
Okay.
Now, if you're a wise guy, tell me what you would do. Would you take the 3.5 when you could have taken 4 yesterday? It's a big number, 3.5 to 4. But this guy, when we get to the point, also people are just betting their teams. They could care less what the number is. But would you, as a wise guy, would you take the 3.5 if you missed the 4?
I would pass.
Okay.
Stay at and I think that's you, Jimmy. Do you think that's getting back to 4 tonight? That game?
You know, these games, it's hard to tell. First of all, you got to understand also, when you put all the scores in leading up to the final game, you may want to obviously get rid of some of this, so you may change the number because of that. But I tell you what, it's a great late game with those two teams. That I can tell you.
Jimmy's spot on. I mean, it'll depend on what happens this morning and this afternoon with the carryover on the Niners Cowboys game.
Highest handle game of the regular season so far, guys? Probably.
Well, I have to tell you the Dolphins Bills game last week was up there. I don't know if it'll be the highest. I mean, no mystery, right?
Today,
Biggest one today. So
and then one more thing before I forgot, we'll see a lot of the Cowboys parlays with the 49ers because it leads into the Raiders tomorrow night.
Yes, it does.
That even juices it a little bit more. I want to tell you people out there, I know all of this information. The problem is, do I remember what it is at times? Nice crowd. I'll see you guys later.
Thank you very much, Jimmy Vaccaro, everybody. Quick update in London. Buffalo just went 75 yards in 45 seconds.
Don't turn your head.
25-20 with 2:11 to go. Buffalo's going to have the onside kick.
Yeah.
But this Jacksonville's now going to have to get a first down with the way that this all played out here with Buffalo just motoring right down. Josh Allen 3-yard touchdown run. One where he took a monster hit and then got shoved into the end zone by his offensive lineman.
I'll tell you another thing. If anybody had the under, they're sweating it right now.
Big
it looked like
time.
It looked like an easy under. I mean, depending on this onside kick.
It's out of bounds. It's a pretty good onside kick. Stayed up there a long time.
Yeah.
But Jacksonville will get it back on the kick out of bounds. 27 fourth quarter points in this game, Vinny. That's how you sweat. That's how you sweat out a total that looked like looked like it was pretty easy. 48.5 was the closing total. So you could withstand a Jacksonville field goal here and still get there if you got the closing number at 48.5. All right, back to the late. Just real quick, back to Cincinnati and Arizona. Alex, did you have anything on this game at all or no?
No, nothing on that game.
Okay. All right. This is going to sound square, but I really don't care on this one. If Cincinnati is going to be anything this season, anything at all, they go down to Arizona and cover this game and win comfortably. The big question is, are they even capable of beating anyone at this point? They beat the Rams 2 weeks ago because the Rams' offensive line imploded in that game. It wasn't because Burrow played well. It was because their defense played well. And then their defense got embarrassed by the Titans last week. So I do have a bet on the Bengals. I don't have a lot of confidence in it, but it's just one of those like, all right, this is a Super Bowl favorite. If you're losing to a team that was projected to be one of the worst teams in the last 10 years in week 5, your season is donezo.
The proverbial must win.
Yeah, the proverbial must win. Exactly, Vinny. But It's just one of those where everything we've seen this year, that number's right.
Well, you're going to lay the best price. I mean, so again, open 4. They took the 4. They took 3.5.
Let's go to L.A. next. Philly on the road. Somehow, Eagles are 4-0. It has not looked pretty, but they're 4-0 and 3-1 against the number.
And covering.
So far this year. Vinny, the people are on the Rams today. The people are on the Los Angeles Rams, who won in overtime last week to get to 2-2 over Indy. From 4.5 down to 4. Total has exploded up from 47 to 50.5. We see Cooper Kupp for the first time this year for LA, and Philly dealing with a whole collection of defensive injuries again.
And their defense, has been fair. I think some folks are still waiting for them to hit their stride. But yeah, there's a value with the 4.5. We know key number. We always talk about the 3. We talk about 7, but 4 is another key number. 10. So there was value here with the rent. Now, again, home field non-existent really. In most places, this is one of them. There'll be plenty of Eagles jerseys in the stands, but I don't think that's going to be a factor in this game. The Rams, listen, they're comfortable getting into shootouts too, and give Stafford credit, who's been an absolute warrior this year. So this was a take on the 4.5, but flying over 3 points to the over on the move, Alex.
It's a totals day for me. I like this over as well. I didn't get the best number. I got over 49. Both of these teams, their strength is their offense, as you mentioned. And last week we talked about Sean McVay and how we forgot how good of a coach he is and how well prepared his team always is week after week. So I like this over, going off both of these offensive units right here.
I'm curious with Stafford because he wasn't on the injury report this week. He could barely move by the end of that game last week in Indianapolis with that hip injury. I'm just curious. One wrong hit.
Yeah.
And Stafford's limping again, and that's a whole different handicap for me. But I'm very curious. One other thing too, Vinny, just strategically speaking for the Rams, how are Kupp and Nakua going to work? Because look, Kupp, when he was healthy, is the best receiver in the NFL 2 years ago, record-setting years, we know. Those guys play very similar game. So I'm curious to see how those two guys complement each other so far. Again, Nakua is obviously off to a historic 4-game start.
Well, two things, good points, Jeff. I mean, but you've seen this. Stafford's hit away for the last couple of years, right? When you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, last year it was his neck and his
head.
Back. Is back now. But so he's battled through. I think Nakua and Kupp, they complement. They're gonna make each other better. I mean, Alex, if you've got either one, I know you do. You do fantasy, but listen. Does it take away from you? Who are you going to double? I mean, the kid has done a terrific job. So I think if you're Kupp, you want to come back, obviously, and you come back to a game now where there's a threat. It's only going to. I think create opportunities for both of them.
I agree. And Puka Nakua, he is the favorite for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
He is the favorite right now, short shot. Slightly over C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson. I think it's going to be hard for him to win that award because this pace he's on, if he keeps it, he'll win it. But this pace is just not sustainable.
Right. Well, and now with Kupp coming back.
Yes, of course. Absolutely. I stayed away. I stayed away.
Okay.
I thought that this was for Philly. It's a tricky spot because they go cross country. They play at the Rams this weekend and then just go up the Turnpike and play at the Jets next week. It's a weird spot for the Eagles, especially with Miami looming 2 weeks from now. There at the Link on a Sunday night. All right. Speaking of the Jets, Vinny, the Jets on the road at Denver. Broncos are 2.5-point favorites in this one, up from 2. 42.5 the total, down from 43. Look, you got 2 1-3 teams. You have 2 teams that the loser of this game, it's you're probably cooked for the season. 2-3, you can salvage a season from 2-3. The big question for me is what Zach Wilson did for 2 quarters against Kansas City sustainable? And was what the Broncos did last week against Chicago, was that them or was that just the Bears?
I think it was the Bears.
I agree.
Actually.
I think it was the Bears.
And again, the thing I want to see in this game is can the Jets score first, right? I mean, everybody's been very critical of Zach Wilson. The reality is that their defense
they need to start fast.
They need to be better. I mean, you can't put Zach Wilson, behind the 8 ball right away. It's difficult enough. So, and again, the drama with Peyton and in the offseason and everything like that. I know that's a subplot to it. It doesn't play into the handicap at all. But again, lay in the 2, taking 2.5 with this game. Will we see 3? I think it'll depend on what's rolling over to it from the morning, Alex.
You guys said it perfectly. What are we going to see? What we saw at the end of last week, and can the Broncos use that as momentum? And I mean, their favorite home field, of course, and people are banking on Sean Payton getting this team together. He is a great coach, and people are still betting on him.
I understand why people took 1.5. This does feel like a quasi-sharp side when it was at 1.5 on Denver because Jets get overvalued because they played well in prime time. Very possibly could have won that game against Kansas City. I don't see it. As long as this is not a Zach Wilson implosion game, the Jets are a better football team outside of the quarterback position in Denver. They won there last year. I think they'll win there again later today. All right, Vinny, I know I mentioned one that perplexed me earlier in the day. This one, I'm stunned at how this one's been bet. Kansas City and Minnesota. Minnesota, they are betting Minnesota like they know Minnesota's going to cover the number here today.
2-point move.
5.5 to 5, to 4.5 to 4, to 3.5 on this one with 52.5 is the total. Look, if Minnesota covers, so be it. I'm very surprised by how this has moved.
It is surprising. I think the public will come in at some point today on the Chiefs.
Yeah.
However, the Chiefs have been bet against for the most of the season so far. So, and if we've got the Chiefs going for us, I'm just fine.
You're okay with that.
I'm just fine with that.
I think you're okay with it needing Patrick Mahomes, Vinny.
I've got Vikings in a contest. I haven't given up on this team completely. I mean, you mentioned they could be 3-1. We saw what they did last year, and they still have a great offense, and they still have one of the best wide receivers in the league with Justin Jefferson. So, a little risky, but taking the points here with the Vikings.
I'm pretty sure it just ended in London on an attempted hook and ladder pitchy woo-woo that's going to go Jacksonville's way.
What?
25.
What?
You've heard that before. But it looks like Jacksonville's going to win outright as a 5.5-point underdog in London, 25-20. The under survives. And the Jaguars are going to move to 3-2. Buffalo falls back to 3-2. A really nice win for the Jacksonville Jaguars over in London. I will be joining the public on Kansas City at 3.5.
Okay.
I will be joining them. Public's got to win, and it still wins half the time.
Maybe.
So we're
right. Yeah.
Look, it's just one of those.
People have to cash tickets.
I'll take my chances with Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
That is a very hard place for me to be, taking my chances on that dude. Look, Minnesota. Okay, you beat Carolina last week. That was a pretty even game. The game swung on a defensive touchdown for Minnesota. It wasn't like Minnesota was overly impressive. Now win. Cousins threw a horrible pick six, 90-plus yards the other way.
Plus,
I'm surprised. Again, I'm surprised by the way this moved. Like, it was one thing if it went from 5.5 to 5 to 4.5, but all the way down through 4 is surprising to me.
I mean, is there a little distraction with the Cousins rumors too, right? About him maybe being traded? I don't know.
I wouldn't say that's
But
the
again,
biggest
it has
distraction
not.
in this
It
game,
has
Vinny.
not impacted the folks going against him.
All right, Sunday night.
Sunday night.
Jimmy mentioned it. Big bet on Dallas at 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
It was 4. Still at 3.5 right now in the Cowboys and the Niners. 45 the total. Of course, San Francisco favored at home. You know, Vinny, you touched 3 earlier today, and that was a legitimate blink of the eye.
For a
and
sniff.
Yeah, right back to 3.5. I do think this gets back to 4 at some point, but it won't be there for long.
I could see it getting back to 4. Again, a lot's going to depend on the rollovers from yesterday, obviously, in college football, but mainly today. You've got all these games this morning, and then you have the 4 in the afternoon. So, look, it's a great game. It's going to be a fun game to watch. I'm a little surprised, too, that the total has not gone up from 45 just yet. I could see that ticking up, particularly with the folks with the propensity to bet the overs, but 3.5 right now.
As of now, I have no play on this game. I am excited. It's definitely the best game on the board, but I can't make any strong statement saying that this is going to be where the Niners start to fall apart with Shanahan and what he has done with this team. But, 4 with the Cowboys, who is also a very good team in the NFC, could be tempting later on.
Under. That's what I like the most. I like under.
Under 45.
I like under.
Okay.
This is
All right.
you're
good.
dealing with 2 of the 3 best defenses in the NFL. This is a much different test for Brock Purdy, who has been great so far this year. He handled him in the playoff game last year, but this feels like a grinded-out game where both defenses have their ways, which usually that type of game is a good one for the underdog. So I don't have a bet on Dallas, but if it gets back to 4, I may get there on the Cowboys. All right, that's all the time we have for today, but we have to bring this up. Tomorrow,
Noon. New show here.
New show,
at the South Point.
Punchline.
Punchlines with Frank Nicotero as your host.
There we
ladies and
go.
gentlemen. So we'll
Noon
have,
tomorrow Pacific time, right here where you're watching us right now, right from this studio. Frank Nicotero joining the team. We're thrilled to have Frank on board. Punchline. Tomorrow at noon. We'll get the whole schedule for that show out throughout the week as well.
Yes.
But just so you know, noon tomorrow. That's all you need to know.
Let's be here.
Tomorrow.
And again, you can watch us.
We're
you know all
normal
the
time, 3
listening.
o'clock tomorrow. We'll be ready with the preview of the Raiders and the Packers. You think there'll be a bunch of cheeseheads walking around in here tomorrow, Vinny?
Well, I could tell you this. There's going to be plenty of Raider bettors because the Packers open 1, and we're at 2 and climbing on the Raiders. So the Raiders have been – we talk about the Chiefs not
Always
being
bet
bet this year. Raiders, the stands will be full of, green and gold, but there's going to be a lot of cash on the Raiders.
If that somehow gets to 3, that will be the.
Don't be shocked.
That will be the quickest bet I make all year. And if you beat me, Vegas and the Raiders, go ahead. But if that thing gets to 3, that will be a take on Green Bay for sure. For Alex White, for Vinny Magliulo, I'm Jeff Parles. Hey, you still got a minute. Get to your mobile app right now. Bet it. Bet these games going in a few moments in the NFL. We'll see you next time. Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio.